Over the course of the last 5+ years of having cancer, being diagnosed with it twice, going into remission, having it recur, and now dealing with it again in an elevated state, I've struggled with the idea that significant trauma or things that can really mess up your life have to be learning experiences, or every portion of it has to be didactic, which is to say that there's some lesson that you take from it. But each time I think about it for a long time, I've come to the conclusion that if I'm not going to learn things from this prolonged trauma, then I'm probably not setting myself up for success if I am to make it out of it. A good example of that is actually when I was recovering from my first cancer treatment and the, let's say, mental and emotional health fallout. I kept reminding myself that the healing process wasn't just getting to be okay and putting that in the past. It was getting to be as okay as I can while understanding that there might be another run-in with this aggressive metastatic cancer, and building the skills to help myself if it was to happen again. That did happen again, and right now I'm in the midst of a particularly shitty time period in my current treatment, and it's forced me to kind of take a step back and reflect on what's going on. So I'll give you a little bit of an update. First, I'm gonna do my usual spiel. If you don't know me, my name is Mike Linn. I'm a stage 4 metastatic melanoma patient, and I make videos to help myself with my own mental health, to get information out to my friends and family, and to connect with other cancer patients and their loved ones who are trying to build a conversation about how better to cope with this disease. When I spoke to you guys last time, I was in the midst of a thyroid storm, which was, my thyroid freaking out due to autoimmune inflation because of my treatment, and I was feeling pretty bad, and it was this weird roller coaster that I wasn't sure how it would end or what it would look like in regard to my treatment. Since then, things have gotten considerably worse, and there are a number of things that have changed regarding my treatment. One, we had to pause my treatment. Right now, my body is incredibly inflamed, incredibly mad, and my symptoms keep oscillating. I'm hyper nauseous, like to the point of being debilitatingly nauseous, where I'll get up for 30 minutes, feel terrible, have to lie down. I have zombie levels of energy. I can do stuff for 15 to 30 minutes and then everything kind of crashes. And these aren't always persistent on a day-to-day basis. There are some days where I've felt better and some days where it's been just strictly sleeping. But the cause of this, past the thyroid issues, which we think are resolving, it's general autoimmune inflammation, and the leading candidates right now are either autoimmune hepatitis or there's another term that they brought. It's rheumatic polymyalgia, which is basically just a lot of inflammation that can affect your joints and your muscles and your energy levels. But I've done 6 sets of labs in the last 2 weeks. We've been going back and forth between myself, the doctors, nurses, to figure out what's going on. But the overall synopsis right now is not good, and I've spent 3 weeks being, let's say, less than human. I have not been able to be productive, and it's truly felt like I'm a sick person, which, while I am and have been in true definition, I had this kind of like shiny optimistic period where I was still being hyper productive. I was, saying, okay, we can charge through treatment, and I'll coast when I get into the easier treatments. Well, that notion is dissipated. So now I have to pause my treatment, hopefully just for a couple weeks, but until we get answers, I don't know. And I was talking about the need to have a lesson in everything. And I've had a lot of time to think about what's going on. And what I can take away from this is that when you're dealing with something so serious, even the best laid plans are your best case scenario plans. I mean, stage 4 cancer in and of itself, nothing to mess around with. And, we all know what the true downside is. But during this time period, this is the beginning of a treatment for me. I hadn't anticipated running into this much friction. And so when I had to immediately pivot, it kind of forced me to think about, okay, well, if this is what I'm dealing with now, this is still, I'm still doing fine in the ranges of outcomes for stage 4 metastatic melanoma. Like, this is okay. I'm up, I'm moving, I'm not literally dying. We have options. I'm still on my first line of treatment. And it kind of forces me to create another level of respect for the adversary that I'm dealing with. And I know that's a term that I don't really like. The fight analogy is not something that I think is always apt in dealing with cancer. But right now, it's one of those things where I have to reframe, what I'm expecting and what I'm able to put up with. And, it was the first time, I think, in any of my cancer treatments where I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, are you equipped to deal with this when this goes worse? How much fight do I have in me? And I think the good thing I took out of it is that I've got enough of it, at least in my mind. I don't want to test it. The other thing is that I was so proud of myself for being so productive. I'd been putting out, multiple YouTube videos a week. I'd been working out, and I had to slow all those things down. I was unable to work out or play basketball. I had to step back from some side projects and work. I made fewer videos this week than I would like to. But the lesson I wanted to emphasize most from this time period is that when you're dealing with significant trauma, whether it's cancer or some other illness or some very, very stressful period in your life, your first focus, and maybe your sole focus if need be, is to get through that. And that's what this reaffirmed. I spent a lot of time laying in bed, and I wasn't even able to watch TV shows. I couldn't focus for more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time, and I'd be laying in bed and I'd be thinking, okay, I'm falling behind on some of my client work. I would really like to make a YouTube video right now. I'd like to go play basketball. I'd like to stretch. Anything that I could do. And the only way to calm myself down was to think, this is your job right now. Your job is to be healthy. Your job, first and foremost, until you are healthy, is to recover. You need to rest. And while on a holistic level to, my life, I don't like those terms. I think it's just something that I have to work with now. And same thing with pushing treatment back. If you told me 3 weeks ago that, hey, you're gonna have to delay your treatment by a couple weeks due to autoimmune side effects, I'd be like, that's ridiculous. How would it get there? And I learned how it would get there. So what does that actually mean? Well, we're still doing some more research about where this goes next. I don't want to speak in absolutes because I'm not the doctor by any means, but it seems like I will be able to pick it back up. I was just placed onto a round of prednisone, which is a steroid, which should hopefully calm down all the inflammation in my body. I should get test results back probably today or tomorrow regarding autoimmune hepatitis or a number of other conditions it could be. But the reality is that the drugs that I'm on are strong enough and my body's response is strong enough that it might just be chalked up to, hey, very strong autoimmune response. We're gonna have to, see if you can take it in the next round of drugs, and I might have to prepare myself for more of this if I'm gonna go through the dual immunotherapy treatment. So I guess the last point of emphasis that I wanted to get across today is life and your own plans, and they don't have to be centered around trauma. They always need to be pliable to obstacles, and I don't think that's anything novel. Everyone sitting here watching has been through experiences that necessitate pivots and necessitate moving of goalposts, and it doesn't always feel good. But sometimes you need to zoom out and say, okay, is this going to affect the goal long term? Is this going to affect the goal for the better in the long term if we do it this way? And when I really am looking at what I'm trying to accomplish in my life, how upset do I need to be about, this delay of a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever? Because for me, the goal is to live. And in taking these 2 weeks off to get more information and hopefully prep my body to do better with the treatment, that should be nothing. I mean, I don't know how much time I have left. It could be very short. It could be a long time, and I'm hoping for the latter. And I'm going to, go about my days as though it is the latter. So if I think that the goal is to get healthy and make it through all this, then I should look at these few weeks as a blip and, stay optimistic and try and stay the course. I wish I had things that were a little more poignant, or I wish I had things that were a little more interesting right now, but I've spent the last few weeks being kind of a human sponge. So that's all I got for today. As always, if you guys want to like this video, subscribe to my channel. It really helps. It really helps me connect with more people, and the channel has been growing nicely. I'm gonna, try and do a more constructive video next time, but right now this is just a brief treatment update, and I really appreciate you guys watching, so thank you very much. Bye.